Fry and Leela have always been the emotional center of Futurama. In fact, the series finale, meanwhile, was completely focused on the two of them tying the knot, finally solidifying their relationship. But though the series finale is the ultimate testament to their love, it all takes place within a frozen universe, and we don't get to see Fry and Leela actually live out a real life together. Just this beautiful fantasy of a frozen world. This also means we didn't get to see whether or not children were in the Fry/Leela family future. But what if I told you that we almost did get to see this in the show? In the DVD commentary, writers David X. Cohen and Josh Weinstein revealed an unused episode concept that would have featured Fry and Leela's future son. But how did this play out, and why did they ultimately abandon the storyline? Well, I'll tell you exactly why and throw in a bit of my own hopes and speculation along the way. Just don't tell Fry about it.
Tried to fix it once, then I got mad and hit it some more. I guess it's good we didn't have children.
Hey, if you end up liking this video and want to hear me talk more about Futurama, I have some cool news. I've started a podcast about adult animation with my friend Terrific Tariq, and the first thing we're talking about is Futurama. The podcast is called Cartoons That Curse, and we're covering our favorite adult animated series one season at a time. We've already released episodes on seasons 1 and 2 of Futurama, and 3 should be coming out shortly, so if you're interested, you can watch the video version on our YouTube channel or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, and one more side note, how great is this artwork of Fry and Leela's son? Make sure you go check out Hats Off Media on YouTube and Twitter. Not only is he an incredible artist who absolutely nailed this design, but he makes great videos about cartoons as well. Plus, he's just a super cool dude. Support his stuff. So the origin of the unused story of Fry and Leela's son surrounds the episode Law and Oracle, which is actually a Minority Report on. In the DVD commentary, David X. Cohen and Josh Weinstein reveal that they had worked for 3 full days breaking a different story about a backwards time traveler. The story still revolved around predicting future events, like Law and Oracle, but this version involved a character who not only traveled backwards in time, but moved and spoke backwards as well, making them impossible to understand. And the big reveal is that this character would turn out to be Fry and Leela's son from the future. But why didn't they move forward with this backward moving idea? Well, at the Futurama series finale channel hosted by Nerdist, David X. Cohen revealed a little more information.
We worked on for like 3 days and it was the coolest science fiction story, but there was nothing funny about it whatsoever.
So while we were denied this major reveal of Fry and Leela's future, it was for a fair reason. Futurama is primarily a comedy show, so it's understandable that the writers felt cautious about such a complicated sci-fi idea eating up the entire runtime without allowing for much comedy. Interestingly though, one aspect of this story did end up being used in the Futurama series finale itself.
The forward-moving time people met the backwards-moving time person and time froze, and we're finally able to interact, so we took that idea and used it in the finale.
So while Meanwhile used the idea of time freezing as a means to further Fry and Leela's relationship, this unused story would have used it as a huge climactic moment where Fry and Leela got to meet their backwards time traveling son. And based on the fact that this episode idea and the subsequent one on Oracle were about predicting future events, I think it's safe to say that Fry and Leela's son was attempting to tell Fry and Leela something very important about their future. Now while I totally understand their reluctance to tell the story without much comedy, it definitely bums me out as a big fan of the emotional character-driven sci-fi episodes of Futurama, and I think there are some really cool things they could have done, and maybe still could do with this story. Alright, hear me out. As you may know, I previously made an entire video on one offhanded remark from the episode The Why of Fry.
Leela, she doesn't know what you mean.
While many of my commenters seem to think that this was just Miller lying to Fry to get him to stay in the future, I'm not sure I agree there. The entire point of that scene was that Fry was given an opportunity to choose whether or not he is sent to the future, and to then cap that off with more manipulation from Miller feels sort of contradictory to the purpose of the sequence. I think that this likely was a story seed planted that unfortunately never yielded any fruit. Now in this previous video I rampantly speculated about what events of the show it could have referred to, or how they could have followed up these events. And interestingly, a lot of commenters said something that I hadn't thought of, that they believed it was possible that Leela being the other was in reference to Fry and Leela having a child in the future who would ultimately be important to the ongoing existence of the universe, much like Fry. I didn't give this much thought until I learned about this unused story of Fry and Leela's son, and honestly I think these ideas could probably fit together really nicely. Is it possible that these important future events that needed to be communicated by Fry and Leela's son were of universal importance? This would explain how Fry and Leela's ongoing relationship was a consequence to the Gronians and their goals of keeping the universe safe. It also feels like a really big story that understandably was a struggle to fit into a 22-minute episode. So, big surprise, here goes Johnny once again pitching one final Futurama movie, just like in a couple other videos. If, and obviously there is absolutely no indication that this could or would ever happen, but if Futurama was given one final theatrical movie, something I would truly love to see, this seems like the absolute perfect story to cover for a number of reasons. For one, it completely solves the major issue the writers had with the story in the first place, that it was simply too complicated to fit into a 22-minute episode. You give this bad boy a 90-minute runtime, and baby, that story's got room for read. You have much more freedom to fit in other more comedic subplots and flesh out the script with more jokes, in addition to telling this ambitious time travel story. Hell, they already did a big ambitious time travel movie in season 5, and the extra runtime is what really helped it work.
Yeesh, this is confusing, and I bet it's gonna get a lot more confusing.
And let's be honest, this is a really cool and unique sci-fi premise that would work really well for a bigger Futurama story. It feels like a story that they would have done for the straight-to-DVD movie season had they thought of it sooner. But in addition to this, it could give them the opportunity to tie up a couple small loose threads left behind after the original run. You know, the ones I won't shut up about here. But either way, there is a really effective way to tell a great sci-fi story while tying in multiple elements from throughout Futurama's run to create one final epic adventure for the planet's terrestrials. If, for instance, finally the sun was traveling backwards in time, sent by the Neblonians to warn Leela of a future reemergence of the brain spawn, that ties really nicely into the wild ride, especially considering this tease was never followed up.
If you ever need a savior again, just ask.
Oh, we will. We will.
Even if you don't buy into the idea that Nibbler meant anything substantial with the other comment, you cannot deny that this is a real loose thread. Hell, you could even tie in some other Fry and Leela-focused stories, like the events of Meanwhile. What if the universe freezing in the series finale actually had bigger universal implications when it was reversed? The last we saw the brain spawn, Fry banished them to a parallel sort of void universe. What if when the universe froze, it somehow created a window of opportunity for the brain spawn to escape their prison and re-enter the universe, restarting their deadly hunt for information? It always felt to me like the brain spawn were the most important ongoing antagonists, especially in Fry's story, so bringing them back in a big way makes a lot of sense for a finale, at least to me. And of course, a story with a huge familial reveal for Fry and Leela's son would keep in line with the most important emotional aspects of Futurama, which tend to revolve around family. Learning of their son's existence could be a really big emotional moment. Or, hear me out, perhaps an even more heartbreaking reveal, such as, say, the idea that by traveling back in time to save the universe, Fry and Leela's son is in fact altering the time stream so that he ceases to exist. That could be the kind of emotional depth that Futurama excels at. A character who's going back in time to change the future, knowing that it will eliminate himself from existence. You could have a really emotional scene between Fry, Leela, and their son, sharing one real moment together, knowing that it would be the first and last that they would ever experience. But you know, I'm just spitballing. So basically, if they were to transpose this story into a movie idea, they would get to tell their ambitious sci-fi story and allow room for more comedy. They could tie up some loose threads from the series itself, they could give us one of our patented family-centric emotional gut punches the show is known for, and they could give us fans one last massive hurrah for the series we love so much. Plus, isn't there something sort of poetically beautiful about Fry being flung far into the future and the sun being flung far into the past? Look, I know this all isn't likely, but a man can dream, right?
A man can dream.
Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this Futurama video. If you're new here, I've got tons of Futurama videos in my backlog. If you want to watch more, please check out my podcast, Cartoons and Curse. Also, do not forget to follow Hats Off Jimmy on YouTube and Twitter, and commission him for your art because he's a damn legend. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you next time. Peace.